Hey, what's up guys, it's Nostalgia, and this is my review of the new Car Seat Headrest album, Making a Door Less Open. Making a Door Less Open is the 12th studio album from underground lo-fi indie legends Car Seat Headrest. It is also the 4th studio album they've released after signing to Matador Records in 2015, and only the 2nd record under Matador with entirely new material. The album sees the band dive headfirst into a more Indietronica inspired sound. Frontman Will Toledo had certainly experimented with some electronic soundscapes previously, most notably on the 2014 EP How to Leave Town, but never quite to the extent that it is prevalent on this new record, unless you count Will and Andrew Katz's side project One Trade Danger, which previously mostly acted as a separate entity to Car Seat Headrest altogether. Yet with this new album, the One Trade Danger persona kinda gets infused into the Car Seat Headrest sound, and while, spoiler alert, I think this fresh approach to the band's sound is excellent, the album has already proven to conjure up some very mixed opinions from both critics and fans. The opening track, Weightlifters, immediately sets the atmosphere and foundation for this album, as it opens up with these wailing, spiraling synths that soon get complemented by a programmed, yet very much lively and energetic drumbeat. The synths remain in the background of the track throughout its duration as the song develops and progresses. The vocal performance from Will throughout is equally lively and confident, yet it doesn't sound at all dissimilar to what you may expect from Will Toledo, and overall I think it's a perfect opener to the album. The second track on this album, Can't Cool Me Down, was the first single to come out from this here project back in February, and it definitely acted as a statement to what the band was going for back then, and it still serves its purpose in the context of the album. While on Weightlifters, the synths acted as more of a sonic backdrop to the music, on this here track they are more like the meat and bones of everything. They give the track a quirk and personality that doesn't really sound like anything they've done previously. Will gives a brilliant, very groovy, very infectious, and also incredibly passionate performance that ties the track together perfectly. The song is probably the closest Car Seat Headrest have ever come to like a straight up alternative dance song. Next up is the first movement of a track titled Deadlines, this one being Deadlines Hostile. The track serves almost as a return to some familiar soundscapes for Car Seat Headrest, driving drum beat, scratchy guitars, a powerful Will Toledo vocal performance, especially during the absolutely exhilarating and grandiose chorus. The mixing on this track is fantastic, it really gives it a very garage rock sound, and I think it serves a very good purpose on the track list, as well as just being a brilliant standalone Car Seat Headrest track. I think it also complements its sister track very well. We'll get into that in more detail when it comes to actually talking about the sister track, which is separated by a few tracks in between. The first of which is a track that is certainly the most divisive on the whole album, and that is Hollywood. While I certainly understand a lot of people's distaste for this track, I just cannot help but nod along and enjoy this track with its overpowering heavy rock riffs and chaotic vocal performances from both Will and Andrew Katz. The whole track reads more like a One Trade Danger track with more electronic guitars and even more chaos than just a regular Car Seat Headrest track, and I honestly can't imagine another track like this ever coming out from the band. So while I'd be lying if I said it's the most thought out or even the best song on the album, because it's absolutely not, I still can't help but enjoy it for its absurdity and sheer energy. The next track, Hymn Remix, is probably my least favourite track on the whole album. It's an odd blend of programmed drums, wailing, glitchy synths, and cut up repeated vocals from Will Toledo, and while I don't think it's downright bad and it serves its purpose towards the overall aesthetic of the album, I don't imagine my enjoyment of the album taking any sort of a hit if this track didn't exist. The next track, Martin, is definitely more of a familiar sound for Car Seat Headrest, yet the more you listen to the track and pay attention to it, the more you pick up on subtle details like the faint programmed drums, and as the song progresses it takes a bit of a left turn as the bridge is slowly stripped back into a foundation of just bass and drums, which is then complemented by a smooth trumpet solo and concluded with pitched up, faint vocals from Toledo, as well as some final trumpet melodies. The track at first glance seems like a pretty by-the-numbers Car Seat Headrest track, but its ambition is a lot more subtle than on tracks like Can't Cool Me Down or Hymn Remix. The next track is the second movement of the previously mentioned Deadlines, this one titled Deadlines Thoughtful. And if what we've heard so far on the album has been the band dipping their toes into the electronic sound, this track sees them dive headfirst into that direction. The instrumental is this pulsating wall of electronica with a steady, programmed drum beat acting as the glue holding everything together. It is a sound that is absolutely entrancing, and Will and Company pull this ambitious endeavour off perfectly. I think the two Deadlines tracks complement each other in that the first part is very much instrumentally what you could expect from Carsey Headrest, while the second part is absolutely the last thing you'd have expected from the band, therefore acting as a bit of a metaphor for the whole direction the band are taking. This track is followed by a short acoustic interlude titled What's With You Lately. It's a pretty little track, but there's not that much to say about it. This is followed by the song Life Worth Missing, which is probably my favourite track on the whole album. It's an absolutely beautiful and retrospective song that sounds straight out of the 2000s in the best way possible. And if there was any uncertainty as to where Carsey Headrest are heading, this track serves as confirmation that no matter what direction the band takes, their music will always be just as emotional, just as personal, and just as powerful as it has always been. The second last track, There Must Be More Than Blood, is a synthesizer driven slow burner of a track that sounds straight off How to Leave Town, which is a project that is near and dear to my heart, and this sound captures the same energy and emotion perfectly as it seamlessly blends electronic and rock instrumentation to form an absolutely epic penultimate track. It's easily another highlight off the album for me, and one of many at that. The album finally closes off with Famous, which is honestly a track that I'm pretty lukewarm about. It sounds like some of the better parts of Hymn Remix blended with the pulsating synths on Deadline's Thoughtful, and while it certainly is an interesting closer, I really think it would have fit slightly better earlier on in the album. Overall, I'm genuinely quite taken aback by just how much I enjoyed this album throughout. It's certainly quite the artistic statement, and whether this whole electronic approach is just a one-off for the band or a direction which will be prevalent in their music from here on out, Making a Door Less Open doesn't hesitate establishing an identity for itself. It's an album that oozes creativity, confidence and passion, and sees the band explore and grow with brand new ideas and soundscape, yet it never loses the magic and integrity of what Carsey Headrest means. There's also some absolutely incredible tracks on here that in my eyes are among the best tracks that Will and Company have ever put together, and in the 2 short weeks that it's been out, I've come back to this album time and time again. Everything about this album is still very much Carsey Headrest. It's just a new chapter in their artistic growth, and I absolutely love this album and everything it stands for. My final score for this album is 8 out of 10. So that's the end of the review. What did you guys think of the album? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, please consider liking the video or subscribing. It would mean a lot and really give me the boost in confidence I need to keep posting more and more reviews like this, as well as some other kinds of videos that I'm hopefully going to be working on sometime soon. So until next time, I'm Nostalgia, and this was my music review.